students. Today we are going to start with the subject business studies. This subject deals with the various aspects of the business. In class 11th, we shall be learning about the general nature of business, types and forms of business organization, emerging trends in the business, e-business, social responsibility of business, business finance, and the types of trade. In class 12, we shall be learning about the administrative part of the business. Now let us start with the first chapter of this subject, and that is the nature and purpose of business. This chapter comprises of two sections. The first section is about history of trade and commerce in ancient India. Second section states about the concept, nature and purpose of business. Today in this lesson we shall be learning about the first section. Before starting with the first section, let us have a brief idea about the concept of business, trade and commerce. Business is an occupation in which people regularly engage. So the very first phrase says that this is an activity in which a person or a group of person, they are engaged on a regular basis in activities related to purchase, production or sale. It means they are carrying out the activities of purchases of raw material or purchasing the commodities and then producing and thereafter selling of goods and services. Here the term goods means products, articles or things in which the business is going to deal, and the services are the provision of the services like banking, insurance, advertisement, etc. to the client by the service provider with a view to earn profit. Means they carry out all these activities with the main goal, and that is to achieve or to earn the profit. Thereafter it is commerce. All the business activities which are carried out, these are facilitated with the help of commerce. And commerce is a process which fills the gap between the place of production and the place of consumption, or the production process and the consumption. So all those activities which are necessary for facilitating the exchange of goods and services. For example, transportation. It is very much required to supply the commodities from the place of production to the place of consumption. Thereafter it is trade. Trade is merely the buying and selling of the goods on one hand. That is known as, on the one hand we are buying and thereafter we are selling. It means we are not involved in the process of production. It is merely buying and selling of the goods. Now let us start with our first topic of the first chapter of class 11th, that is history of trade and commerce. The economic environment of any country largely depends upon its physical, geographical and political conditions. Our country is bounded by Himalayas in the north, Arabian Sea in the west, Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean in the south, which has led to the utilization of land as well as sea routes to carry out its trading activities. In this topic, we shall be learning about the subtopic which are indigenous banking system, rise of intermediaries, transport, trading communities, position of India in world economy, and reindustrialization of India. Now let us go with the topic. If we go back to the past, the existence of commerce and trade is found to be as old as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization old is. But at that time, barter system existed. This system was the system of exchange of commodities with the another commodity. Let us take an example that one person who was having surplus rice, he exchanged it with the another person who was having surplus wheat. It means the commodity was exchanged with the another commodity. The only reason was that there was no particular medium like money at that time for the exchange of the goods. But later on, the need was felt to get proper consideration for a particular product, and metal coins came into existence. This led to the evolvement of indigenous banking system. Indigenous mean related to a particular region, area, or a place. So our country developed its own banking system to carry out its trading activities. So metal coins became popular and these were used as a medium of exchange at that time. At the early stage of indigenous banking system, the moneylenders like Shahukars, Munims, Seths, they used to lend the money to the needy one for the purpose of agriculture, domestication of animals and trade, etc. But later on, the documents such as hundi and chitti, these were used for the buying and selling of goods on the credit. Hundi is a term which is taken from Sanskrit word hund, which means to collect. And hundi means the collection of a debt, means the amount which is granted to someone as a loan, and it was taken for the purpose of collection of that debt. And hundi contained an unconditional order, means it was an order, written order विदाउट एनी कंडीशन. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल कि अगर जो भी बोरोर है वो जब हुंडी के ऊपर अपना थंब इम्प्रेशन या साइन सिग्नेचर करता था तो उसके साथ कोई कंडीशन नहीं लगाता था दैट आई विल मेक पेमेंट ऑन दी फुलफिलमेंट ऑफ दिस क्राइटेरिया, कि वो कह दे कि अगर मेरी यील्ड जो है वो क्रॉप की अच्छी होगी तभी मैं पेमेंट करूँगा. इट वॉज नॉट देयर because it was an unconditional order in writing made by a person. The person who was granting the loan, that person prepared that hundi and whereby directing another person, the person who had borrowed the money, he gave the direction to that person to make to pay a certain sum of money, to make the payment of certain amount. For example, 1500 metal coin, 2500 metal coin, 2000 metal coin to a person named in that order, means the person whose name was mentioned in that document to whom that person, that borrower, had to make the payment. So thereafter the people began to deposit precious metal with the Shahukars, Munims, and Seths, and in this way the country developed its banking system. Thereafter, there was rise of intermediaries. First of all, the term intermediaries, they were the mediators between the two parties. It means the person who brought the two parties together and there was a deal between those two parties. One was the buyer and another was the seller, and the mediator, like wholesaler, like retailer nowadays, they brought these two persons, buyer and seller, together and there was existence of a deal. These intermediaries were of two types, financial and trading. Financial intermediaries played a vital role for the purpose of sharing the risk between the trader or the producer, because the product was to be traded through sea routes which were very risky for the trader, and for that purposes financial intermediaries shared the risk with them and provided them guarantee for the trade. And the trading intermediaries, they were generally the wholesaler and the retailer. Now the next component, that is transport. We all know that transport is a very vital part and of any trading or the other activity. So transportation in ancient period, the transportation by land and sea was popular, and the trade was carried out through the overland Silk Route and the maritime Silk Route. In this picture, the red line, these depict the inland transport, and the blue line depict the water transport. So the trade was carried out through these routes, whereby the trader used these inland route and the sea routes for the purpose of trading with the different countries. At that time, Malabar coast, which lies on the coastal plain of Karnataka and Kerala between the Western Ghat and Arabian Sea, contributed immensely towards the international trade. Calicut city, which is located in Kerala, was famous for the trade of cotton and spices, and it was known to be the trading emporium at that time. And the next component is the trading communities. With the passage of time, many trading communities emerged and developed. Some of these were Punjabis, Multanis, Mahajans, Nagar Seths, which emerged as the trading communities. And thereafter, it led to the development of merchant corporation. And these corporations were established for the purpose of giving the advice and consultation regarding the execution of trade and the charging of the taxes and the duties over the foreign trade, and they played a vital role during that time period. These merchant corporations formed their own rules and regulation for the conduct of various activities. And the major trade center at that time, these were Indraprasth, Patliputra, Mathura, Ujjain, Sanchi, Bodh Gaya, and so. And at that time, the major export items and import items were as export items included spices. Black pepper was very popular at that time, which was exported from the country. Wheat, sugar, opium, sesame oil, cotton, these were the major export items, along with live animals and animal products, their skin, furs, tortoise shells, pearls, sapphires, crystal, etc. These were the major items which were exported that time period. And the import was generally made of the China silk, wine, gold, silver, copper, etc. Thereafter, we are going to discuss about the position of Indian subcontinent in the world economy from 1st century to 1991. Between the 1st and 7th century, Indian economy was known to be the largest economy because it used to control one third wealth of the whole world. So at that time period, it was known to be Swaranbhumi on and Swarandeep. But with the passage of time and it's there was a downfall in the Indian economy. As the colonization took place, in the country, there started a downfall trend, and in the mid of 19th century it reduced to 5%, and by the end of 20th century it was about 3% of the whole income of the whole world. Now the next topic, that is India begins to reindustrialize. After independence, a major shift was there in the industrialization of the economy. There was rebuilding of the economy. It started, and 5-year planning was implemented in 1952, and there was complete centralized planning, and the due importance was given at that time to the modernization of industries using the modern and the latest technique for the development of the trade, and using the scientific method for the purpose of developing the trade. Despite all these efforts were taken up, but Indian economy could not develop at that rapid pace which it would have been, and it was due to the lack of capital formation, blast of population, huge expenditure on defense, and inadequate infrastructure. These were the major reasons for the downfall trend and for less growth in the economy. But in 1991, economic reforms took place, and these were the LPG reforms, which brought a major shift in the rising trend in the field of trade and commerce in the economy, and these were the liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Nowadays, the Indian economy is known to be the one of the fastest growing economy in the world, because many type of new schemes, startup schemes have been started, financial assistance has been made easy, term loans are being provided, subsidies these have been introduced for the motivating the new entrepreneurs to enter into the market. Sampada scheme has been has emerged, and this scheme is basically for the agro and marine product, and initiative for the purpose of motivating those entrepreneurs. Nowadays, Skill India, Make in India, Digital India, these are very popular, and these are provided by the government of India so as number of entrepreneurs come into the market. With this, today's lesson is over. Thank you.